Oh, and it is time. It's your boy, Joel Cupcake. What's up? Back here with the one, the fucking only, the man, the legend, the fucking straight edge overlord, Sean fucking Mott.
Yo, I wish I was the straight edge overlord. That'd be tight.
I mean, I think you are, in my opinion. But for those of you that don't remember Sean from an earlier episode, or have never interacted with me on Twitch, or don't follow me on the internet, or might just have brain damage, Sean Mott runs a podcast called Metalcore Nerds. He also does some stuff on Twitch. He does design work for myself, Dan Fonts, a bunch of our people in our friend circle. He is technically a booking agent, but we all know the music industry, whatever the step after being on fire is, that's what the music industry is right now. So
still on fire, I would think.
Yeah. Yes. So Sean is right now not a booking agent, just like I'm not a promoter. So that's fucking tight. Exactly. So we do shit like this. We're going to have some fun. Sean, thanks for being back on the show. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
We're just,
always a pleasure.
I'm not doing like a secret intro. I'm not doing a surprise, nothing. We're just going right fucking into it. We are talking about The Boys on Amazon Video or Amazon Prime Video, whatever the fuck it is, dude. Now let me segue. If you don't know what The Boys is, it's about like if superheroes were existed in our world. Now,
yeah, exactly.
People stopped watching the show after about the first 5 minutes, Sean. So I'm gonna get this right out the gate. If you have never seen the show and wanted to watch it, the last 15 seconds of the second to last episode of the second season are probably the craziest 15 seconds I've ever seen on TV, fucking ever.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would beat it is Game of Thrones.
Yeah, maybe the Red Wedding episode from Game of Thrones, and that's a maybe for me.
Or the mountain crushing Pedro Pascal's face was pretty fucked up. I don't know if that was the end of the episode though.
That wasn't the end, but that was also a singular moment.
Yeah, that shit fucked me up.
This would have been like if he did that and then like speared Cersei and Jaime and Daenerys. Like if he had like all of a sudden just grown like spears for fingers and just killed everyone. That's what that would have been.
Yeah. I definitely tweeted that it was some of the craziest moments in TV ever, and the show creator liked it, and I definitely freaked out.
Yeah, you sent me that tweet. I remember. Yeah. So
I was like, okay, cool.
Dude, yeah, seriously, everybody that listens/watches to this episode, just watch the show. Like,
yeah, I would not listen to this before you watch the show.
Oh, definitely. We got a lot of spoilers coming. I'm hoping some of you just put the episode on for the first like 3 minutes and then turn it off, because now you got to watch that fucking episode. Yeah.
Also, I'm probably gonna spoil a ton of the comics as well, so. I know no one's going to read the comics.
I was going to say, I don't have time to go read the comics, so I'm completely fine about that.
It's a lot. It's 6 books, and it's not just like 6 trades. It's 6 omnibuses. So they're thick motherfuckers, and they're wordy. It's like Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns wordy. They're like actual books. Like it's no fucking joke. Like I'm on the 5th book right now.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit into the 5th book, so I'm there's 6, so I'm almost at the end. But you just have to like be in the mood to like read. It's not just like a normal comic book read. Like you're reading.
it's like Sandman or something like that, like you said. Actual fucking comic book.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel for sure.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if I was going to age myself by using that term, Sean. Like I don't,
I mean, Watchmen's a graphic novel. It's like it's a award-winning book, and it's a comic book. So anything like that I would call a graphic novel for sure. Anything that's like a singular story that I guess I would put that under there.
Yes. Well anyways, Sean, thank you for joining me. I'm even more excited because I asked you to do the episode originally, and then you started texting me like a couple days later about like the comics, all this stuff, and I was like, shit, I didn't realize he's also read that. So it's like I'm even more jazzed that you're here now. I was going to try to find us a third guest, but we already know I talk too much as it is, so like, there's no point in that, in us just making it worse, So, holy shit! Everybody, first off, real quick, I love Sean. I'm glad he's on the show again. I know I already said this. He does a lot of my graphics. Please watch. There, see, I did it again. Please listen to his podcast, Metalcore Nerds. I have a vlog, and I transcribe this as a podcast, and I don't even fucking listen to podcasts, and I listen to Sean's podcast. So Yes, he's my friend, but also it's metalcore dudes talking about nerdy shit. I mean, do you really, really? Is this on? Hello, hello? Do you really need anything else in life? You know, like
No, you don't.
you don't. See, you even said it yourself, Sean.
You don't.
Yeah, my
Good.
screen is reflecting wild off these glasses. Sorry.
It happens. Yeah. I took last week off. It was my wife and I's vacation, and I'm hopefully going to have an episode out this week. I have one planned, but I'm working on scheduling. That's also half the battle when you do this content shit. And it's my 30th episode, so I have an idea in place. So I have other guests that I want to do in the future that I could probably do before, but I want this to be the 30th. So I want to make it kind of like a special episode. So I'm trying to do top 5 movies with Travis Tabrone from the ex-singer of Ariels.
He'd be good for that too. He's good at the nerd culture, dude.
Yeah, so I'm trying to make schedules work for that, but that would be a very good one. I've done top 5 like influential records. I did that with Cam from These Streets, and I did top 5 MCU movies with Zach from Left Behind. But top 5 movies is a pretty big one. So I wanted to make it.
I just got asked. One of my buddies from here just started a podcast, or he's on a podcast, and then he's starting his own one. But the one that's going to be his own is, so what they're doing right now is they go year by year. So like the first episode of the podcast is like the year they both were born, which I think was like 89, and they talk about all the movies that came out in 89, like all the cult movies and stuff. So every episode is another year, and then so he's going to start one where he's doing a lot of stuff like what you're talking about, like the lists. So he's like, I want you to come on the show and give me your top 10 albums of all time. And I was like, you're not talking genre specific, you're talking like albums. And he's like, yeah. I was like, ooh. I was like, well, I have my top 5 like right off the bat. You know what I mean? But like, well, it's like top 7 right off the bat. But yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. I don't want to list him here and spoil it for my dude. You know what I mean? So
no, yeah, for sure.
When that comes out, you guys are just gonna have to fucking watch it. Actually, on the note of time off, thanks everybody for the patience. 2 weeks ago, they were doing construction on my fucking apartment building. So the whole episode would have been the whole time. You know what I mean? And then last week, we were visiting my significant other's parents.
Yes.
For the first time since the world ended. So that was kind of an important reason not to have a show. Plus, Sean and I want to do this episode about The Boys, and it hadn't technically finished the first week we were going to do it, and then the construction happened anyway. So fuck it.
Worked out, really.
Yeah, it did. You know, as most things do involving the two of us, Sean Mott. You know, like,
true.
Good things come to those who wait, or some fucking nonsensical terminology like that, right? You know what I mean?
That works for me. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad it works for you, because it works for me too. You know. So, hold on. Let me move my ring light a little bit so I look better. There we go. Much better.
I like your Liquid Death branding right in the shot. It's nice.
Dude, and this is actually a Liquid Death hoodie. So they've apparently been happy with our relationship and sent me a hoodie. It's just like a bleeding, melting skull with size, and then on the back it says Liquid Death, all huge in like a death metal font.
That's tight. I love Liquid Death.
Fucking tight. Yeah, dude. It's actually pretty tasty. I'm drinking some right now, dude. If anybody likes this stuff, you know, you can get 10% off drinks and merch with the code PENUP at checkout.
Good plug. So I was segueing you into a plug.
Dude, yeah, like you didn't even mean to, dude. And we haven't even said the word PENUP once yet, you know what I mean? Well, now I've said it twice in like 2 seconds. But
yeah. Too much. You said too much already.
Or this is not a PENUP Power Hour podcast, Sean, okay? Damn, I should start that as another like facet, dude.
Might as well, dude.
Just talk about music for an hour.
Yeah, why not? If you do that live on Twitch, I think that would go over pretty well. Honestly.
You right. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Why not?
Why not?
All right, so The Boys.
The Boys. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Super off subject. So The Boys. All right. So preface, you know, Sean and this guy, Jimmy Arsenault, who's an old talent buyer from here out in the Bay, and a couple of my other friends all said, Chris from Body Snatcher, who was also on the show recently, everybody was like, watch this show. And I was like, watch the show. So then I finally saw a trailer when season 2 dropped. And I was like, okay, this looks fucking interesting. And all we have is time right now. So one day I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll put it on. And I got like immediately hooked. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking tight. So for those of you, there's going to be some spoilers. Basically, the show focuses around this group of superheroes called the Seven. They're basically the Avengers if the Avengers existed on Earth, like our Earth, not Earth 3 or Prime or whichever universe you're in. Wait, no.
And they're owned by a giant corporation.
Earth Prime is DC. Nexus Earth is Marvel. I apologize.
We can be Earth 616. It's fine.
There we go. Okay. Fuck yeah. Isn't 616 supposed to be our Earth?
In the comics, they make a nod to it in the movies, but the Earth in the MC universe is like some crazy number with a bunch of zeros. They show it in like Guardians and stuff like that. It's like
because it has no heroes or anything, right?
I mean, it does. The Earth is like that's the Earth where everything is happening.
No, I mean our.
I don't know.
Whatever, Sean. Whatever. Okay. Anyways, so the boys. Oh my fucking god. Yeah. So it's about the Seven. They're funded by this corporation called VOT. So like basically
owned, not even funded.
Owned. Yeah. So sign a contract to be part of the Seven. They make you make movies. You do publicity stuff and all this stuff.
TV shows,
comics,
everything.
All of it. It's huge. And the thing that's crazy is they only have sovereignty in America. Like they're not allowed to function in other countries, which is something that they didn't really get into until season 2. But I still thought that was wild. They
sell certain other. They like own more than just the Seven. They have other heroes that they sell to different like states and counties and shit like that. Like how in the first season when the Deep gets kicked out, they sell him to like Ohio or wherever the fuck he goes.
So think of it as like private security, but with superheroes. That's basically what it is. I mean, right, Sean? Yeah. I think
100%.
The show starts and you just see this guy Huey, and he's gets off work being all sweet with his girlfriend, and then his girlfriend just get like fucking first 5 minutes of the show, bro. Like just splatter blood, guts all over him because of fucking soup. That's what they call him in the show is supes. Ran through.
That's like a soup slur, almost or a superhero slur. Calling them soups.
Yeah. Oh, it's a soup. But there's one called A-Train, who is
like the Flash.
I am a little disappointed. He's like the only real black character in the show, but I guess it makes sense when you start dealing with the stuff in season 2. But so he gets splattered, and then Huey tries to like fight the company and all this stuff, and everyone's like, "There's no point." And then, man, what is Billy Barber? What's that actor's name? I always fucking forget, dude.
Carl Urban.
Thank you. Carl Urban is like this guy who kind of works for the CIA. He's like a black agent or black ops. He used to work for I mean, people like that, you never fall out of that life. You know what I mean?
He said, here's the thing is like the boys, when they were the boys initially, when Mallory was part of the team, was like the leader of the team.
Yes.
That's when they were funded by the CIA. And then everything went to shit, which you find out more in season 2 with the whole lamplighter thing.
Yeah.
And it all falls apart. And then, so when he starts coming back, he pretty much like finds out what happens to Huey and finds Huey to be like, hey, I can start this back up again. But
so basically,
the opening scene that you're talking about. So the comics and the show, very different from each other as far as storyline wise. Like the feel is very similar. And I've never really seen something that was a comic made into a TV show or a movie do this, where like if you're reading the comic, watching the show, you feel the same exact way.
Okay.
Even though it's usually like they'll do like Easter eggs and nods, and obviously they take stuff from the original source material and bring it on.
Yeah.
It's what inspires it and stuff. And they do that stuff too. They do a lot of things and they say a lot of names that you would only get if you read the comics. There's no fucking way you would get it. It's not like Marvel stuff now where it's such a thing over 10 years where you're like, oh yeah, it's they're referencing themselves at this point, at the same time while referencing the comic books. But there's names they say that you literally would have, like, they say this dude Tech Knight, and they've mentioned his name like 3 or 4 times now in the first 2 seasons, and you would only know who he is if you read the comics. He's in like one arc through the comics, and that's it. Like,
now, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. I was thinking back after we texted about setting up this episode, and you mentioned to me the stuff about Tech Knight and who he was and shit.
Yeah.
Is he portrayed as like, because he's a non-soup, he's portrayed as an asshole? Because I could have sworn in the scene when Homelander is talking to Ryan, where he goes, you haven't seen any of my movies, blah, blah, blah. Homelander versus Tech Knight, like something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh no, it was like Homelander, or it was like
he mentions him,
like it was like Darkest Night or something. Oh no, it was like Brightest Day, Darkest Night or some shit like that. It was like obviously making fun of some ridiculous other superhero movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like or stuff like that. I know The Deep mentions him. I think when he's doing those like infomercials about like saving the beaches and shit. He's like, I even convinced Tech Knight to get a Prius or some shit like that. And it's just been like one-off comments, like very small. But yeah, Tech Knight is like how I was telling you, he's basically like an Iron Man. He's just a dude with money. But except he's like, it's very much what the show does with everyone of heroes they mock. It's pretty much like taking the smart or taking what makes them perfect out of them. Obviously, Marvel and DC have done a good job of making their characters not perfect. Like Tony Stark is a drunk and like an egotistical maniac. Like Batman is obviously a fucking psychopath. Shit like that. But like Superman is like Superman's like
so self-conscious.
Yeah. Obviously, Superman's like perfect, and Homelander's like, oh, here's Superman if he was real. But like,
I wouldn't say Superman
is like perfect. Iron Man if he wasn't a genius.
I wouldn't say Superman perfect.
He's probably the most perfect superhero ever.
He questions himself with his own immortality. He like lets his immortality affect his morality.
A little.
So he has a flaw. Sean, everybody has a flaw. Everybody has a weakness. It's Lois Lane, dude. That's Superman's weakness.
Yeah, but I mean, if you compare him to someone like Iron Man, he looks like Jesus. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's fair.
But I mean, they do it. They, like Homelander, he's a psychopath. You know
dude, I love, like, he's my fucking favorite because it's so, like, you want to know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of, like, a band guy or, like, a rock star where he's so, like, in front of the camera, he's, like, perfect on, blah, 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 off the camera. He's like, fuck you. I'm Homelander.
He's worse than that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Homelander. You're gonna suck my dick. You're gonna do what I tell you to do. And if you don't like it, I'm just gonna fucking laser your eyeballs off.
Pretty much. He's fucking crazy.
But they go through this whole cycle arc, and it's funny. I just brought up the Lois Lane thing because, like, one of the ways they try to get to him is even like kill the lady that he fucking loves.
Oh, Stillwell.
Yeah, Stillwell. And then fucking at the end of the first season, the guys that are hunting the supes, the boys, have her tied up, and Homelander is there and finds out he's been lying to her about something. I don't know if we want to spoil all of it, Sean.
I mean, dude, you might as fucking lie.
Yeah, fuck it. So he has a kid, and none of the supes have ever been able to reproduce before. So they hide it from him, and when he finds out that she knew, she's strapped to like a bomb, like they're trying to kill her to hurt Homelander.
I mean, Billy Butcher is trying to single out Homelander.
Yeah. So he's about to blow her up, and then Homelander comes to save her. And he's like, what did you do? She's like, I lied to you. I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. He's like, and we promised there was no more lying. And I can't stand people who break a promise. And he grabs her head. She's like crying. And he's like stroking her fucking hair, all like creepy and sexual, like I love you. And then he just fucking lasers her fucking eyes out of her goddamn head, dude. Like, it's fucking insane. Nuts. It's fucking nuts, dude. I love it.
So nuts.
I forgot.
I was saying something about the comics, but the opening scene where Robin gets completely obliterated by A-Train, that is I mean I totally got off track anyway, but that's like straight up out of the like it's a frame right out. It's a panel right from the comics.
And is Huey in the comics too?
Yes, except Huey is Scottish. And it's funny. This is like a really funny. I listened to a podcast right as The Boys was about to come out, and the artist who drew all of the comics and everything, he based Huey in the comics off Simon Pegg. Like literally looks like Simon Pegg, and he's like, I wouldn't tell any artist to do this because I got lucky because Simon Pegg just thought it was cool because he could have sued for likeness easily. Yeah. So that's why Simon Pegg is the dad, Huey's dad.
That's so funny. That's so tight.
Because Huey was literally made to be Simon Pegg. But a difference from the show in the comics is Huey's obviously American and Huey in the comics is Scottish. But
that's hella funny because Simon Pegg I could see him being one of the few people that would be like, I'm not going to sue you for my likeness, whatever.
No, yeah, he's like, nah, it's sick that you drew this character after me, pretty much. Yeah. And so that kind of causes him to go to New York, and then how the whole journey starts and everything. So it's like super different. And both of his parents are still in Scottish, and there's actually a arc in the comics where he goes back. He's like fed up with the boys. It's kind of what happened at the end of season 2, where he's trying to like reevaluate stuff and take a break. Yeah. A lot of stuff in the comics happens like way longer too. Like he doesn't find out that Starlight is a soup and in the 7 until book 4. Book 4 out of 6.
So do they have like a relationship for like a long time while he's in the boys and she's in the 7, and they don't know it?
Yeah, literally like 3.5 books. Okay. So at the point I'm at now, she still doesn't know. Because it's like in the middle of book 4 or so, or maybe near the end, that he finds out that she's in the 7 because she tells him she's a soup. She's like, hey, I'm a superhero. I'm in the 7. Billy the Butcher knew since like book 2 or something because they bugged like so in 7 headquarters isn't a tower or Vought. It isn't a tower like Avengers Tower. It's like a fucking ship. It's a ship that flies like that hovers around the earth. It's fucking insane. But they bugged that. So they
Watchtower. It's like the Watchtower.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Fucking not the Avengers, fucking Justice League.
Yeah. So they bugged that, and he sees her, and he's seen Huey with Starlight. So he's like, oh, that's her, and put it together. Because the comic books were written before the time of like social media and shit like that. So it's like, obviously they couldn't do that in the show because the 7 is so fucking famous. There's no way in hell he would not know that it was her. You know what I mean?
So did the books take place in like the 70s? Is that what you're saying?
Not like the 70s, but like, I think like maybe in the 90s or something, or maybe like early 2000s, like before the internet really took off and was like in social media and pop culture was such a big thing. You know what I mean? So it's like they were famous. Well, even she's like, I'm famous. And it's like, but it was different back then. You know, they sold like flip phones and like shit like that. You know,
so it's like they're selling comics and dolls and stuff like that, and not like her face is plastered everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's way different. So yeah, that's another part that's like super fucking crazy. So that's like the difference is that Huey, like kind of how Starlight was to Huey in this season is kind of like how Huey was to Starlight. And she actually goes out to Scotland and finds him, and they kind of like make up through this like whole ordeal and stuff. It's like, it's weird, but I'm like waiting to see.
They're all on a ship. Do all the soups fly then in the comics?
Dude, literally almost all of them. Like the Deep doesn't fly, but the Deep also looks so fucking stupid in the comics. Literally has like the like super old timey like diving gear. You know what I mean? Like the diving helmet and shit. Yeah, it looks fucking ridiculous. The Deep has like no. They make the Deep way fucking cooler in the show because the Deep does nothing in the comics, like literally nothing. He's there.
Oh, you mean
he does?
Oh, so in the comics, he does nothing.
The comics, he does fucking nothing, like literally nothing. He's just there. unless something crazy happens in like the last book and a half that has him involved. But he's basically just there. He doesn't fly, but like Homelander flies, Maeve flies, Starlight flies. Black Noir doesn't fly. There's a huge thing in the comics of where he's supposed to have this plane, but he can't really fly a plane. But in the comics, he has like a plane. So he's like, there's like a scene where there's like a comic where they try to teach him how to fly a plane. And he just like fucking kills the plane instructor because he doesn't know how to fly. And they're like, oh, I guess we need to get a new plane instructor and shit. It's like fucking crazy. Black Noir is just as mysterious in the comics as he is in the show. It's fucking wild. Yeah. But yeah, so Translucent isn't in the comics. They made him up for the show. The dude in the 7 in the comics is this guy Jack the Jupiter, and he's like an alien. I don't really know his powers other than he can fly, but he can also fly. So it's when they're flying and doing shit, they're like carrying the Deep and Black Noir usually. So like one person's carrying the Deep, one person's carrying Black Noir if they're like flying, but most of them can fly. So that's the big difference. Like obviously Starlight can't fly. The only person that can fly has been Stormfront and Homelander so far that we've seen, you know. But yeah, those are the big differences. Pretty much everyone can fucking fly in the comics. Yeah, it's wild.
That's so crazy. And they're in a ship, not a tower. Makes sense.
Yeah,
but
it's like a floating ship. It's fucking crazy.
I can't believe the show from the get-go. It's like you see the girl get splattered, he's mad, makes sense, right? But then like Starlight gets in the 7 and he's like, oh, you know, the Deep, I'm the right-hand man. Like if you want to be around, he like forces her to suck his dick. And I'm like, dude, this was not how I expected the show to start, like at all. Like
also, you want to believe something? In the comics, that part is worse.
Oh, I'm sure.
So the part of like you seeing his ass, like his like dick is out, it's Homelander. And then after she sees that, Black Noir and A-Train both come in with like their pants down. Yeah, like I obviously see why they did it, because that would be pretty fucked up. That'd be really fucked up.
So does she do it to all 3 of them in the comics?
Yeah. That's another part where Huey gets so upset because after Huey finds out that she's like Starlight tells Huey, he goes to Butcher and like Butcher acts like he didn't know. And then he goes, hey, we really need a surveillance, more of the 7 footage, and it's footage he's already seen, and he pretty much shows him the footage of that happening. And he gets like super freaked out and he's like, you're a fucking slut, blah, 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 like whatever. Super, like he gets it after a while. He's like super upset.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be upset if I was in love with a girl for forever. Then I found out she was a superhero and then I found out she blew half the team. I mean, that's a pretty knee-jerk reaction that makes sense, but like in the grand scheme of things, like it's not what happened.
Obviously. Yeah. So like she does that, and I do like how she flipped it, and like the Deep has to go away.
Yeah. They made it very progressive and a lot more, you know, like socially conscious as it should be. Like when they go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm saying sometimes when you read old comics, people can be like, oh, this is kind of like offensive and stuff, and it's more of just the time it came out, you know what I mean? It's not like, you know, them now, like obviously them now, because I'm pretty sure the Garth Ennis and I know the dude who drew, I think it's Derek Robertson or something like that, something close to that. They were like involved in the beginning. They're like, hey, come to the set, come, you know, look at your creations to come to life and shit like that. So I'm sure they're like consulted or involved in some way. Garth Ennis might even be a producer on it. I don't really know. Don't quote me on that. Maybe he's not, but I'm sure they were consulted and everything. So like they know like, oh, hey, we're going to change stuff to make it more current with the times and everything. So it's, they're not going to get blowback and shit, you know, like so many people know, like, you know, like, oh, I said shit in the past that like I've learned, and you know, it's not how shit is now and stuff like that. It's just, that's how, you know, progression is key to life. So
yeah, you're right.
Me saying like, oh, you know, she blew 3 dudes, like, and the guy got mad, like the boyfriend got mad about it. Like, I get it. It's not. It's like more of the circumstance.
She,
like, you know,
was it more of a like
he didn't see like the
in the comics. I feel like the whole show is set up for like the rock stars of the world or the supes. So like in the comics, was it just as, you know, because she's very like, she's like throwing up, she's sad about it, it's like offensive. Was it more like a normal thing in the comics for her, or was it still that
part of like her freaking out and being like, what the fuck did I do, and her questioning her faith just like how she does in the show is very the same. Just the way of she had like the power back of like her telling off the deep and be like, you fuck with me again, like I'm gonna fuck you up and shit like that. It was more of like empowering to her, other than because in the comics they kind of just get away with it, obviously, because Homelander's involved. Like they couldn't have had Homelander involved like that in the beginning of that show. It wouldn't work with how the show is going. But
correct. Yeah,
she still did freak out the same, and she's like traumatized by it and hates that she did it. But she's the same as she is in the show. She's like some Christian girl from the country who this was her fucking dream, and she thought, this is what I had to do. It's like this has happened to people in the entertainment industry and shit like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like obviously everyone's heard stories that like news outlets are, everyone hears everything now, and obviously shit like that has happened. Like they had that whole movie Bombshell where shit like that happened. So this is not.
They made a movie out of it, right? Bombshell.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like the movie Bombshell. Yeah. It's based on real events or whatever.
I didn't see that. I didn't watch that yet, but I want to.
It's very good, very, very good. But like that deals with the same thing, and that's not even like it is the entertainment industry, but it's like on a smaller scale. It's like they're news anchors. It's not like celebrity. I mean, they are celebrities, but they're not like big actors and actresses or whatever, I guess is what I'm saying. But that moment is like it's everything in this book or show is a reflection of like what's gone on or going on in real life.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I like that. Like, like also like let's break down the fucking superheroes. Like, like we've talked about the comics a lot. I wanted to talk about the show a little bit more, but it's like Homelander can't do. I mean, he flies, he has laser vision, he's super strong, and he's emotionally insecure. Okay, tight. Maeve,
very emotionally insecure.
Maeve is basically just Wonder Woman who is in denial about being a lesbian.
Not in denial, more just she wanted to protect the person she loved, and she just did it in the wrong way. She did it in an abusive way to Elena. Other than she's not in denial, she's in full acceptance, but she didn't want to get to Homelander because she wanted her safe. She just, instead of talking to her about it, she just pushed her away. Which again, you can obviously you can relate to these people even if they're superheroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, I get
maybe
it,
not Homelander because he's like full psycho, but like exactly what happens with Maeve. Like she gets outed on national TV by Homelander after he finds out about it. And she breaks down saying like, like I wanted to protect you. Like you don't understand what this guy is like. He's a fucking psychopath. Like, and obviously she sees like even her partner sees more of it, and like the whole video of Flight 136 or whatever the number is, and everything like that from season 1. She shows her that to be like, hey, this is how we can live a normal life and everything. But yeah, she is pretty much, and she's made to be like. She's obviously like
she's Wonder Woman. She just can't fly. You know what I mean? And then
Wonder Woman can't fly either. Not at least not in the movies. I don't think she can fly.
Well, not in the movies, but no, in some of the cartoons she can.
Yeah.
And then in some of the cartoons she has her invisible jet.
Invisible jet, man.
But yeah, fucking. So then you have the Deep who can breathe underwater and talk to animals. Yeah, well, Aquaman could at least control the ocean, though, right? Or no?
Yeah, I think so. So it's like
he could control water, or like
he might, but yeah, but for all intents and purposes, he's like Aquaman.
Yeah, yes, correct. And then we have Black Noir, who is basically an indestructible ninja. We don't know.
Yeah.
Is there more light on him in the books, or no? Like not at all.
Not yet. I've heard through some like after shows of The Boys and stuff. They didn't spoil anything in the after shows, which I'm glad. But there's a connection between him and The Boys, I think, or something, or some weird dirt that Homelander has on him, or something like that. I don't know what it is, and I haven't gotten to that part.
Maybe
I'm guessing it has to be near the end.
Maybe he was like maybe he used to be like a CIA suit. You know what I mean? So he's done some fucked up shit. And Vought has all the dirt on him, and so that's why because he definitely seemed like, and even when it was like when they had that fight scene in Billy's aunt's house, how like the dude's talking to him like directly. It's like he's obviously like the assassin of the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and
he's obviously seen that. Dog.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like pain, and unless the peanut allergy, we find out, but. He can like regenerate and shit. Like in the first fucking scene of season 2, he like fucking Rex that or the super villain or super terrorist or whatever, you know, they call them both throughout the whole thing. You know, Homelander kept being like super villain, you know. You know, trying to make it like a buzzword, you know, it's like him and Stormfront were basically fucking Fox News pretty much. It's fucking crazy.
Yes,
but,
which is also a hilarious analogy. But yeah,
but they don't really shed much yet.
Yeah.
He's probably more mysterious in the comics than he has been in the show so far.
Yeah.
Crazy. His look is very similar, but it's pretty much just like a black suit.
Well, so something I noticed that I actually had that's a critique that I wanted to bring up with you. Sorry, I'm having Mike ADD with where I want it placed. Is so if you actually go, so I watch Amazon on my Xbox, right? So if you go on, if you open the Prime app and you scroll over the boys, right, it'll have a still, and the still is of the 7. And in the still, Black Noir's outfit is not black.
Really?
Like his padding here on his arms and his crotch piece and part of his helmet and his boots are like silver. But then I'm like, but dude, he never looks like that. Every time you see him in the show, he's literally just being silent and wearing all black.
Wonder if it's a weird edit or something. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
Maybe he'll get an outfit change or something like that. But but the other thing I did like, okay, so we have Black Noir, who's just like the assassin ninja, you know, and then we have
I don't really have anyone to compare him to,
Yeah, then we have A-Train, who's like the Flash. Well, I mean, I guess Black Noir would be Daredevil if he was a bad guy and didn't talk.
But he's not blind.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, we don't know that, actually.
I don't think he's blind. Well, because they had the Daredevil guy who he fucking. You texted me right after you watched the part. You're like, oh my god, he's bleeding everywhere. From season 2, he was supposed to be the replacement for the Deep, I think. The guy he's like in episode 2 or something, maybe even episode 1. But it's the guy who they were like, oh yeah, he's like handy capable and he can be in the 7. And
my god, and then he pops his.
Like ear. He's Daredevil, like like that guy.
You're right.
I guess if I had to like. I guess
he's like Punisher as a superhero.
Yeah, he's kind of like Wolverine, but like more stealth because he can regenerate. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, you know, Wolverine.
So he's X-23 because remember when she first comes out, she's controlled by the what's his face.
Yeah,
you know, the
without
guy
the adamantium. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And was made a secret agent. I guess if you mixed like Wolverine and Black Widow or something.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah, and then obviously you have the one they fucking killed.
Oh, Translucent, yeah.
Translucent, which I think is such a fucking stupid name. But after they describe, so the dude's already invincible. He can go invisible, but he can also morph. He can go invisible and morph his skin in any object he wants. What?
Yeah.
What? Like, how did they come up with the idea of merging those two powers? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I said, that's a completely show original character. So it's like they made that up.
Which is hilarious. Yeah, and then that's everybody, right? Did we miss anybody?
Well, I mean, not until Stormfront.
Well,
for season 1, yeah.
Yeah, for season 1. So like,
Starlight.
Well, so Starlight comes in. So the show kind of focuses around the boys and like the humans that are hunting the supes, and then Starlight, who's this like brought in super religious Christian, like stand up little fucking Ohio farm girl or wherever she's from.
Yeah.
Just like total culture shock about men being douchebags, God being fake. Well, they actually don't even go that far, but they definitely get her.
No, she just questions. Yeah, she questions her faith.
Yeah. I love like the stab at the church they made in that show with the whole like, who's the guy that stretches? Isaiah, right?
Ezekiel.
Which, by the way, is also a huge angel insult, like 100%, like super Marvel stab. But like how he's in the gay club and then acting like he's some like that whole little exchange is like super like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think he's also a show original character too. They have like a religious kind of guy, but it's totally different. It's like brother, like something.
And he's obviously a stab at, the elongated man and Reed Richards. You know what I mean?
Which is really funny because I don't think they'll ever bring him in the show, but they have a straight up I can't remember what they call them. It's the something four, but it's literally the Fantastic Four, and they call him Reacher Dick, and that's the Reed Richards copy. Yeah, Reacher Dick. They're in literally an issue. That's it.
Well, there is the dude. There was the dude in like the mental hospital where his superpower was like the dick. Remember, he chokes out.
Straight from the comics too. His name is actually Love Sausage.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, his dick doesn't like stretch, but he does have a really fucking huge dick. That's why they call him Love Sausage. But yeah, he's like a good guy. He's like on the good side. It's like when I first started reading the comic, I was like, this is completely different than the fucking show.
Yeah, so in the comic,
first book, yeah.
In the comic, I would assume as the stuff progresses with the boys versus Homelander and the Seven, there's obviously like there has to be other people who feel like Starlight, where there's like good supes, right? That are supes because they actually want to help people, right?
No, not at all.
Really?
Because like I said, I'm in the fifth book. Starlight doesn't know that Huey is a part of like a group that's like hunting and killing supes, because they kill a fuckload of supes in the comics. Like,
oh, really?
A lot. And this is the biggest difference from the comics and the show. The boys have injected themselves with Compound V. Oh. So they're all, but you find out later that it's a form that Vogelbaum. So Mallory gets a hold of Vogelbaum early before the boys are even started. It's like him. He gets into the CIA. He was like a high up in the army. Yeah. Was in like World War II, and that's when he first find out. I'll circle back to this, but basically, like in the fifth book, it's a lot of Mallory talking to Huey because Huey finally finds Mallory. He's a male in the comics, doesn't really fucking matter. But and then after the army, he ends up going in the CIA. And he ends up like doing plays to eventually make his own task force that ends up becoming the boys. But he finds Vogelbaum because he's been following Vought since World War II.
So Mallory is a he in the comics, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which you don't really get a lot of her backstory yet, but like all of book 5 so far has been like Mallory telling Huey about like how he got to where the boys formed the first time before he joined. So when it was the first incarnation of the boys, which obviously like season 2 focused a lot on that too, like the first incarnation of the boys.
I want to know why they call him MM. Like, why is he called Milkman? Is it because he always delivers?
Okay, so they call him Mother's Milk, and in the comics, him and his brother were both. It was kind of the same thing where it's like they like did tests on Compound V on babies because it was easier for babies to like develop powers and stuff. And his brother was like special needs, and his brother ended up, I think he had powers too, but he ended up getting killed. But Mother's Milk himself would need to drink his mom's breast milk to like stay strong. Like if he didn't drink it, he would get sick and like weak. And like there's even like a part where you find out that like the origin of Mother's Milk, and you find out he has to go there periodically and get a ton of milk because he needs to drink it to like stay alive, basically, because it has to do something with his like superpowers. But he was like one of the only person of the boys who like had V in him before, besides obviously the female. They don't explain a lot of the female, or Kimiko as they call her on the show.
Yeah.
They do way more backstory of like how she was like a weird test that they find. At least to where I am, unless they do some like weird backstory on her. It was kind of just like, and her and Frenchie were just together from the start. So that's also different in the show too. But that's why I call him Mother's Milk. But the thing he mentions,
I feel like having Cherry in the show as like his side piece of tail, but she's obviously in love with Frenchie, is so weird to me. Like I felt like it was almost unneeded, you know?
Yeah.
And she looks like she's a soup or has could potentially have some sort of powers too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They haven't really said anything, but it's possible.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with when they go to that person's house and they end up finding that Stormfront was Liberty, and him saying that his dad tried to fight Vought, and that's what ended up killing him. That is a direct reference to the comics. That does happen, and that you see that in the, because like Mother's Milk pretty much explains his life story to Huey, and that's like how he finds out. What what was I saying before Mother's Milk?
Mallory.
I was saying something else about the comics. Oh yeah, Mallory. Yeah, he's explaining how the boys formed and how he gets into the CIA, but he finds Vogelbaum and he creates a type of V injection that basically just enhances. It pretty much just makes you super strong. It doesn't make you bulletproof. You can't fly.
America.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because Captain America he's not bulletproof.
No, definitely not. So yeah, that's a perfect example. It pretty much makes you Captain America. Okay. So it could give them but he did it as to be like, hey, we can use this in the army, we can use this for the police as like an enticing thing. But really, he was like, I'm gonna get this for my task force, so we can all stand toe to toe with the supes, which obviously hasn't happened in the show, and I don't think it will, because I think it'll take a lot away, especially from Billy Butcher being so against supes in general. It would be very like weird and kind of backhanded to kind of undo everything.
I could see them doing that. Some sort of thing where it's like I could see like if something drastic happens in the next season where like they're like it's not a matter of Mallory saving them, but like they're about to get murdered, and it's like some sort of like this will grant you temporary powers. I could see Billy doing it then, like. Maybe. Oh, I can save the team, and he injects himself with like 2 instead of 1, and then like snaps the head off fucking Queen Maeve or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, maybe it's just like they've kind of set up the like establishment that he will do any means necessary besides stoop to that level. Like he'll find any other way to make it happen, pretty much. Yeah. Which they might cross that line, they may not. Who knows? I think it'd be kind of weird to do it at this point. You know, after being so far along, it'd be kind of like
cool to see them kill more supes, though. You know what I mean? Like, they only killed Translucent. That's the only one who's fucking died, except for the crazy bitch that makes everybody explode.
Oh yeah. Newman, Congressman Newman, or Congresswoman Newman.
So basically in the show, you know, everybody, if you're not paying attention, you know, Huey wants to get back at A-Train for exploding Rob and his girlfriend, but running too fast. He's on Compound V, which they come to find out that's how they blow the lid off the whole situation. So they capture Translucent, they get him drunk and shove an explosive up his ass, basically, because they can't penetrate his skin. So they have to get inside his body. And then he basically escapes and tries to guilt trip Huey into not killing him, and then Huey does it. So none of the boys even kill the supe. It's him.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know if Billy's ever actually killed a supe yet. They just imply that it's only been Frenchie and Huey. And because MM goes like, welcome to the club or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, or now you are one of us, but it's like.
Yeah, we like I said, we don't know what they've done in the past, other than Mallory saying in that like flashback scene that Frenchie killed Malchemical in another one, which Malchemical is that's another, like I said, it's another character you wouldn't know unless you read the comics, which funny enough, Billy or Butcher kills him. It's so crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy because they do all these like weird like surveillance missions in the comics. Like they the first team they surveillance that kind of starts off the whole thing is this team called Teenage Kicks, which they mention in season 1 because that's who Mesmer was in Teenage Kicks with A-Train, which A-Train does come from Teenage Kicks in the comics too. That's another thing, is like he's super new to the 7 in the comics, A-Train. Which is also like he's not as much of a dick. He's kind of more naive and everything. But they, like I said, it's like the comics are very well done, but the show almost does it better, which is saying a lot.
That is
since it's saying it's already good enough, but they do it in such a different way, in like a modern way, like I've said before, that it's very, very good.
Well, I think they have to, because that's the one thing that has always kind of confused me is like the CIA, but it's like, you know, Homelander can hear through walls and tell when you're lying. You know, like I just feel like there's so much stuff that it's like, with the way technology is plus the supes power, how do these dudes stand a chance? So knowing that the comic is written 30 years ago makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I don't know if it was 30 years ago, but it was a while ago.
I'm summarizing, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how the show gets started, and then it turns into all this stuff. For those of we've gotten fucking crazy off subject, but well, not really. We're still talking about the boys, I guess. So fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like
It's just one big ramble. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a huge fan of the show's delivery. I remember I stumbled across this thread on Twitter of it was basically like, how do you go from this to this? And it's like him playing Bobby and Iceman, and then he's Lamplighter, and everybody like clowning on his outfit and his abilities. And I'm like, dude, honestly, if you're trying to do anything that's grounded in realism, that completely makes sense. That he can control fire, but he can't create it. It makes because what is it? Pyro is a member of the Brotherhood of Mutants. And that's how he is. He still has to wear a flamethrower on both of his. He's basically Spider-Man with fire, because like he fucking he wears the double flamethrower, and as soon as the flames comes out, he can control them and make them into dragons, whatever the fuck, but he can't produce the fire. So I loved Lamplighter's outfit when they showed him in the flashback with like the
old
hood.
School,
with like and he has the stake, and it's fucking swaying the 4 flaming lanterns. I was like, dude, this is sick. That's way sicker than everybody else. Obviously, he wasn't invincible though, which I think that's kind of a weird consistency thing they need to figure out. You know what I mean?
Well, no one's really invincible. It's just it depends on everyone's power set. You know what I mean?
Like he lit himself on fire and died like instantly. You know what I mean? And look what happened. What happened to fucking Stormfront, and then she's still alive. You know what I mean?
But she's also her power. She's like probably the most powerful supe we've seen.
Yes, correct.
Like him and her and Homelander are on the very, very same level. So
Homelander's also
that's what I'm saying. It's by power set for sure, because like they don't have the same invulnerability as like Lamplighter doesn't, as Maeve or Starlight, because Starlight and Maeve they've both said they're both bulletproof, but even you saw Starlight gets hit with that slug from Butcher in season 1, and it doesn't kill her because she's bulletproof, but still like fucks her up. Like these are still humans. They're just like humans injected with this
fair
this drug that gives them powers. It's almost like they it's almost like X-Men, you know what I mean? It's like every X-Men is a different power set, you know what I mean? It's just like it depends.
In the comics, does it talk about anything about, do their powers grow? Like, can they learn? Because it seems like the thing that I was a little disappointed in is like you get the whole like she's like Stormfront served for Hitler, and then she was Liberty, and then they hid her away because she was murdering black people, which is obviously not okay, But then all of a sudden, there's no mention of Liberty being able to fly or having purple lightning coming out of her hands. You know what I mean? And then she comes back as Stormfront and can fly and So like, I'm wondering, like, can their powers develop and progress further as the longer they stay alive? Or is it just like an oversight?
Yes, kind of. Kind of, but they do kind of touch how people develop and stuff, because they kind of go on and say of like how they go through pageants and they have to because there's so many supes that don't make it or don't go onto a team or don't get like hired by Vought or whatever, that like can't control their powers or whatever. They've kind of shown that a little bit in the show, and they show that the biggest difference is that the biggest flaw is that they don't know how to use their powers, or they do at a very limited level for most of them. And part of like how I was talking about when Mallory was in World War II, they send a group. It's like the first superhero group, and they send them to help fight the war, and they end up all getting fucking murdered by the Nazis like instantly. Which is funny because they call themselves the Avenging Squad. So ridiculous. They eventually become Payback like a few years later, and we'll talk about that when we get to like season 3 stuff, if we talk about season 3 stuff of it coming out. But
that's because I remember I already know that Soldier Boy was the first supe in that world.
Yeah, he's basically like the Homelander before Homelander, and that's exactly how it is in the comics too. He's the leader of what becomes Payback and the Avenging Squad, but it's like a legacy title because the first Soldier Boy gets fucking murdered. He gets like ran over by a tank, like dead, just dead. And I'm pretty sure the second Soldier Boy gets murdered too by Butcher. I think Butcher kills a lot of fucking supes in the comics, like fucking fuck ton.
So does
And they
Butcher
do it
take
as
the
like
role
a
of Brady in the comics too?
oh yeah, like literally all the boys have
That's crazy.
have that form besides MM, but it seems like MM has the same power set as all of them. He's like you said, like a Captain America
As
almost.
long as he
Like they
drinks
just
his
have super
milk.
strength. Yeah, yeah. It's like the weird thing with that. They haven't said that he has any other powers than that. They're all just like they can stand toe to toe with supes pretty much. They're not like if Homelander fucking lasered them, they die. You know, there's no getting back from that. But and that they kind of set that precedent because this whole time we've been like, what's Homelander's weakness through the shows? But then you see Stormfront get fucking lasered into pieces. So it kind of shows that if he got lasered that same way, he probably wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
Because they've shown he's like bulletproof, but like, would he be laser proof from like his similar powers? I don't know.
Well, and Ryan also, that was like full rage emotion too.
Yeah. He went like berserker fucking.
Dude, honestly, that's the twist I didn't expect. I expected her to die in like season 3, not season 2.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I did not expect them going the route with Ryan killing her. Like that was a turn I did not expect at all.
Not that I was saying like I super saw it coming, but I figured either one or two things was going to happen as soon as that scene started. Either Butcher was going to kill Ryan, or which I mean he almost did, but like I figured like because obviously the whole thing was set up where he's like I don't care about Ryan, I care about Becca.
Correct.
He'll do whatever he can to get Becca and doesn't give a fuck about the kid. And obviously that kind of switched at the end where he's like, no, I need to take care of this kid. I promised her I would take care of her and everything. But yeah, it wasn't like I super saw it coming, but as soon as it happened, I was like, she's dead. She's fucking dead. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? It was like after it happened. It's not like I like predicted it would happen or something. But yeah, I definitely didn't see it or like her dying at first. I kind of felt like something big was going to happen in the finale of like a death of some sort, whether it, it was whoever, like one of the boys died, maybe like Maeve dies in the crossfire or something. I kind of felt like something like that would happen, but
I love that scene when Maeve showed up to like save them, basically.
Oh, and they have the big girl fight, and then Frenchie goes, "Girls really do get it done."
Dude, which I was like, okay, I get it. Not downplaying the women's power movement at all, but like,
no. The thing is, it was like commentary on like the Avengers Girl Squad moments that happened in the last two Avengers movies. It was them like making fun of it and then making it earned at the end. You know what I mean? It's like it's them being self-aware of how it was like they did it to be like a girl power moment, and then they did their own like almost like cooler because they earned that moment. You know what I mean? Like at the end, it was like, oh, okay, this is like actually makes sense of the story of like because they make fun of it super hard in the Dawn of the Seven movie, which obviously is making fun of Avengers, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, like every fucking team up superhero movie in the past 10 years. They went definitely after. They even fucking mentioned their the Joss rewrite really rings or something or like
dude, I saw
that. Something like that.
I caught that. I was like,
yeah, I was like, wow. They even mentioned Joss Whedon, who did Justice League and the first two Avengers. You know, it's they were obviously very aware of what they were doing. It's hilarious. But yeah, I love the fucking girl power moment. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
them dude, like all fucking kicking the shit.
The whole show has been done very well. Like I was a fan. Like it grew on me a lot. Like I kind of want to rewatch it because I know there's definitely some like subtleties I missed here and there, and like I do wish there was more storytelling. Like just straight up, I'll be 100% honest. Like I wish there was more of that. Like so, hopefully in season 3 we get more of it. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's just hard because another big difference from the comics is that there's a million teams in the comics, not just the 7. There's a bunch of like lesser teams. There's G-Men, which is obviously a knock on X-Men, and they have like a million fucking teams. It's like G-Force, G-Wiz, like have all these ridiculous fucking names. They have a million teams, just like how the X-Men does. It's fucking like it's insane. But they have like all of these like different offshoots that are all owned by Vought. And that's what's like, I don't know if they're going to, it'd be so hard to kill because you only have like 7 supes at once. You know what I mean? So it's like so hard to like kill one of them, especially after like getting to know with them or like sympathizing them or hating them more. It's just like so hard to like take any of them out. That's why so many people die in the comics, because they're there for an issue and then they're dead. Like Stormfront is mentioned, and then there's a big issue where Vought sends Payback, which Stormfront is part of Payback and Soldier Boy, in like the current iteration of Payback in the comics, and they send him after, and then the boys kill all of Payback, including Stormfront. There's like a big fucking standoff with the boys in Stormfront, and they eventually kill Stormfront.
And is the boys is it the same team? Is it just 4 people and Kimiko?
Yeah. It's the same exact team. Yep.
That's tight.
Yeah, they keep that very, very
that's good.
The same.
I think maybe season 3 is going to be like Homefront or Homelander spiraling out of control. So maybe like, I feel like the next season is gonna be like 2 things where it's like they show more of the other teams, and then like so the boys are kind of split up with who they're going after. But then it's gonna be like maybe Payback comes in because they're like, this happened to Stormfront under your watch. So like the supes are gonna be infighting, and then there's the whole secret thing with Newman being psychic, being like the crazy manipulative, like does she work for Vought? Does she have her own agenda? Like I'm assuming she works for Vought, but
yeah, I'm gonna guess she's an insider for Vought, but it's for her gain, because they have. I know I keep referencing the comics, but the comics have a similar kind of character, but it's not a soup. He's actually just like an idiot, but it's a guy who's there trying to make the president so they can eventually put it's kind of like the same end game they have is like getting them in the military and stuff like that. So they have this guy who's like Vought owned pretty much and getting him up in politics. And I think this is kind of a similar way, but putting a girl or like a woman in the situation, but having her be like not a fucking idiot. Like obviously she knows what the fuck she's doing.
She's like a crazy assassin soup.
Yeah. Dude, okay, so obviously if you're still listening to us ramble about this fucking show, and you've seen the show, obviously the twist of Newman being the head popper that's been set up through the whole thing, which no one saw coming. But
dude,
I watched.
Nobody saw.
No, because there was even like after shows, and they were guessing like who it could be and whatever, and no one ever guessed them. But if you go back and watch some of the shit, they like tell you it is, but not in an obvious way. So when Raynor gets her head popped in the first episode, someone goes, "Who do we know has powers like that?" And Frenchie says, "No one." The next shot is Newman in a news thing. As soon as he goes, shit like that. And then the whole meeting with like Mallory and the guy who I think is Secretary of State, you can see Newman. If you like watch her facial expressions and shit she asks, you can see how she's like on Vaught's side. She's like vetting to see like what information she's going to give him, because obviously like he's in a higher power in politics. So I'm guessing it's all like she works for Vought, like she's under Edgar.
I think she works for Edgar. I think there's going to be more to that story too, because like
for sure.
I love the scene with Billy and Edgar where he's like, you know what she is and he is, like about them being like Nazis basically, and he's like, and you just put up with it. And then he even has that scene where he goes like, this is how it works in the white man's world, like that line or whatever it is he says. And I'm like, I could see him doing something sneaky in the background of all of this because of that, because he's just had to.
He's been doing. I feel like he's been doing a bunch. I feel like he's been doing sneaky shit the whole time, which is not really sneaky shit. He fucking runs the company, so it's him just being the head of the company.
And I love that everybody is afraid of him too. Like, is he the same way in the comics?
He's not really mentioned, at least not now, and they almost like the same vibe is like the Stitwell character, but it's like a dude, but it's kind of like he's always just there. They don't even really focus much on him. The way they do that whole thing is very different.
Because in season 1, it was always like the 89th floor, the 89th floor, the 89th floor.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like some mysterious corporate power level. You know what I mean?
Yep. Like they mention him, but it's very like not really focused on. You know, it's kind of like that thing. Like I said, like the show goes more in depth in that kind of stuff, and like the relationship with Homelander is way more like spelled out. Like how he has like, you know, like issues, like emotional issues, because he didn't really have like a mom or a dad, and that's
Yeah.
why he always clings on. That's why he clings on to Stitwell. That's why he clings on to Stormfront, because it's like almost like a mother figure that loves him. You know, he has this weird fascination with having sex with his mother figures. Whatever, whatever floats your boat, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they give more to Homelander, which makes him more of a psycho in the show than he is in the fucking. But yeah, it's fucking crazy. But I do think Newman like works for Vought, and kind of like what you were saying with season 3. I think that Edgar might be forming Payback as like a secondary thing to the 7, because I think there's already gonna be the soup versus soup thing, because obviously like Maeve and Starlight have shit on Homelander and stuff like that, and it's gonna be Homelander trying to like get around that to get his power back and shit like that. But I think they might like form like with Soldier Boy. Eagle the Archer is in Payback in the comics, so it's like maybe they bring him back in and then put the Deep with him. And
yeah, and
I know there's
Deep and A-Train all have beef now with, you know, with the 7 and like Vought and like the
A-Train's back in the 7.
Well, yes, okay, yes,
yeah.
But
he got brought back in.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has beef with the 7. He was just pissed at the church because the church was like, "Oh, we're gonna get you back in. Don't worry." And then he just got A-Train back in. Well, he originally got the Deep back in, but they went back on it and got A-Train back in.
The other thing that I love that I feel like nobody else that I've talked to that watched the show caught. I loved that everyone's overlooking the fact that the church is Nazis.
I think it's more of not really Nazis. It's more of like it was a direct fucking prank on Scientology. Like even their logo is like the same thing as the Scientology logo.
Oh, I didn't catch
But it's
that.
all very It's like it's basically making fun of Scientology. You know? Like, that's
well, no,
that's
I got that because remember like the conversation A-Train's overhears him and Edgar having, remember? And then he's like, you know, Edgar's like, you would know. He says that to the head of the church. Because he's basically implying that like the church came out of like the Nazi belief system, or
it was like formed in that stuff,
or it's formed from Vogelbaum's old money or something. So there's definitely like a tie in there. Like it's just weird that the church had all the dirt.
Yeah, it is very strange too. I don't know if they'll explain that more, being the fact that the leader got his head blown off. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, like I think those 3 might form like, you know, like Edgar approaches like the Deep and be like, "Hey, we're forming a new team. Do you want?" And like obviously the Deep will be like, "Fuck yeah, man, I'll fucking go in a new group or whatever." Which that actor, the dude from Gossip Girl, is fucking phenomenal. He's so fucking great.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's great.
But there's also a new character coming in called Cyclone, which is another show original character. So I know nothing about it. So maybe he's in that team too, or maybe he replaces someone in the 7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fucking know. But apparently he is one of Starlight's ex-boyfriends. That's all I know. Other than that, yeah. But I kind of hope they
maybe they're called Payback, and Payback's supposed to go after the boys. Like maybe we're gonna fade away from the 7 as much. You know what I mean?
Maybe I think it might be like a play on both, because obviously Payback is like a direct knock on Avengers. Payback
obviously.
Yeah. But that's episode 1 supposed to be called Payback, and I know like a synopsis kind of came out of saying how like Payback was the 7 before the 7 was a thing, and Soldier Boy was Homelander before Homelander was Homelander and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I do hope it kind of like, and I mean, even if it is like that, I'm guessing Liberty was in it. You know, if they do flashback shit, like it was Stormfront, which is it's like a funny nod because Stormfront was in Payback. Like we were texting about like, oh, maybe they put Stormfront in Payback, but it's like it wouldn't really make sense if like Homelander blamed that killing at the Congress hearing on Stormfront and everything. I mean, she might come back as some weird hybrid robot fucking freak of nature eventually. Like maybe they wait like a season and she comes back and everyone's like, oh fuck, you know, like and she's some crazy thing like out for vengeance against Vought or something. Who the fuck knows? Because we talked about it, it's like this show is not shy of showing people fucking dying. So
Yes.
you see people's fucking faces getting ripped half open, people exploding, people imploding.
Yeah, I just wonder if it's going to be what you said, like maybe they bring in another team to go up against the Seven in a way. You know what I like?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think it'll be like a battle.
The Boys doesn't exist anymore, technically.
Well, that's like the big thing is that finally, I know everyone they kind of ended it in like a way where everyone kind of went their separate ways, but I know like MM and Frenchie and the female I read it as the only one who's out is Huey.
Yeah.
As far as being out, because now Mallory's like, hey, we have CAA funding now. Like, because the comic starts with them starting the Boys back up again. They already have the CAA funding. So it's kind of like picking up from there where it's like, oh, they finally they're going to be CAA funded because they know some shit is fucking going on with Vought and they need to have eyes on them. Yeah. So I don't know if Vought will go directly after them. I think it's more of just they're worried about Homelander fucking just going ballistic.
Well,
so I think they might do
about that. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like more of Vought being worried about that. So it's like they do Payback as like a contingency plan to be like, oh yeah, I mean we have the Seven, now we have Payback, and Payback being the new thing that's what becomes super popular, and but they'll have something like against Homelander in a way, not where it's like Avengers versus X-Men, where some crazy soup versus soup thing, where it's more of just like a political play, where it's like, oh yeah, here's this brand new team.
And then Homelander loses his popularity and his power, and he freaks out.
Exactly.
He turns into the villain.
Yeah, kind of like how we started to see a little bit this season. You know what I mean? They already like, that video came out of him killing that innocent person, and like he kind of had some shit, and then Stormfront helped like make it, and all that stuff. So I definitely think they'll do shit like that. I don't know if he'll totally lose his mind yet, but he's kind of already lost his mind. He's just very smart.
Dude, just that last scene of the last episode where he's like towing the total Batman pose, but
jerking off on the
jerking off, saying I can do whatever I want, like on top of the city. Like, just like, oh my god, dude. That actor, by the way, I looked him up. He looks so different outside of the Homelander role. But he does such a good job of being just a maniacal fucking.
He's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly because he's not blonde in real life. That's like the big thing. And obviously, like he's not. It's not like he's not that buff. You know what I mean? It's like all in the suit. You know what I mean? He's not that like ripped. I'm sure he's like in shape. He's a fucking actor. Barely any actors are in shape, but he's not like he didn't get like Marvel fucking ripped for this. Yeah. You know what I mean? He didn't
pull a Chris Evans. Yeah, he didn't pull a Chris Evans
or like more of a Chris Pratt. I mean, Chris Evans was currently already ripped. Chris Pratt or Kumail Nanjiani. If you saw that guy, he was like the chubby, funny guy. Now he's fucking ripped, like fucking Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. Like,
well, Chris Evans, I saw. So when you're scrolling through Facebook and you scroll through the video section and it's a lot of those cheesy videos. One of them was like where they started and where they are now, from just actors in general. And Chris Evans was on there, and I forgot that he did all those like Not Another Teen movies.
Yeah, dude. He's like
I totally forgot that's where. Yeah, I totally forgot that's where he starts, and now he's fucking Captain America. Like it's just hilarious.
Yeah. It's so wild. I also saw like like the deep fake videos where they replaced like the face.
Yeah.
I saw one where it was Homelander, but with Chris Evans' face. And I was like, yo, Anthony Starr is fucking perfect for this role. He's fucking incredible. I honestly want to see him in like the MCU or a DCU playing something like, it doesn't matter if it's a good guy or a bad guy. The more I see of this guy, that would be sick. The more I see of this guy,
or Nova,
Nova would be cool. Even like Cyclops would be cool.
I'm gonna hold on to that idea of them giving us Nova, and I just don't think it's ever gonna happen.
Oh, dude, they already set it up. It's going to happen. We just have to wait until they get in more space shit. I think it probably won't happen until Guardians 3, whenever that comes out at this point. But I think that was... because they set it up in Guardians 1, I guess. But Nova's coming. Well, they set it up in Infinity War, I guess, because Nova got fucking completely annihilated. So I'm guessing that was the big setup for that to happen. Just, we have to go back to space for it to...
I mean, I just want it to be John C. Reilly, dude. No, I'm just kidding. So the thing
I love John C. Reilly, but God no.
I know. So the thing I'm confused about, this is not about the boys, is they've confirmed that Love and Thunder is happening before Guardians 3.
Yeah.
They're
filming it right now.
Which makes no sense. Because Thor is with the Guardians. So unless
what do you think the beginning of Thor? Yeah, they're going to be in it.
You think the whole movie?
Said they're going to be in it.
Oh, so there's going to be 2 movies of Thor with the Guardians?
I think so. I think it ends up like Thor is with them and he's like, "Oh, I need to go handle something," and they kind of drop him off, and then maybe in like an end credit scene they meet back up with him or something. Like I don't think they're in the full movie. I think it's more of like a Doctor Strange and Ragnarok kind of thing.
Well, so they've already said that Jane. So we know Natalie Portman's going to be Thor in Love and Thunder, even if she's not Thor at the end of it. She's going to be the mighty Thor for part of the film. Yep. I'm just confused as to where that leaves Thor with the Guardians. Obviously, Fat Thor won't be around anymore. You know what I mean? Unless he's getting worse and the Hammer deems him unworthy.
Well, okay, so here's the thing where this gets super confusing. So, but hear me out. So I think this is my hope. It starts with a Bowflex montage. All right. With the Guardians and Thor. And because Chris Pratt made the thing when he first sees Thor, and they're like, "This is not a dude, this is the man. You're a dude." And he's like, "All right, I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna get a Bowflex." And obviously Thor is super fucking out of shape now. So there's a Bowflex montage with Chris Pratt and fucking Chris Hemsworth getting fucking ripped, and that's when Thor becomes like older, like he becomes like ripped Thor again. So that happens, and then kind of like something like maybe he finds out about Jane, because the whole thing is that Jane, like what happened in the comics, Jane has cancer, but then she ends up becoming worthy of Mjolnir. But the thing is, Mjolnir doesn't exist in this earth anymore. So I'm guessing
we don't know that. We don't know that.
We do know that.
Thanos didn't destroy it.
Captain America brought it back with him. Remember?
Yeah, but we don't know where he brought it back to, and that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just hiding on the planet. It
does. No. Because the Mjolnir of this world got crushed by Hela.
Okay, fair.
Captain America had to bring it back to where it was, or he would have caused another off-shooting time stream, which he already did by going back and staying in the past.
Sean, maybe that's what caused it. Maybe he never took it back. Because they never actually say he has to take it back.
They do. They said anything you take, he has to take back and put it in the same exact spot.
They don't actually say that about Mjolnir. You know what I mean?
They do. They say, because there would be no reason for him to take it with him. If he's bringing back the stones, they would not have put that in there. You know what I mean? They would have just been like, "I'm bringing back the stones, not Mjolnir."
So how does Jane become worthy then?
It's the whole thing. If she has cancer, and when it's weird.
So
she's
like, going to wield the axe then, or is she going to wield Mjolnir?
But here's the thing that comes with Mjolnir is that obviously what comes before this, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man 3, all of that shit, which are basically going to be the next. Like, I think those 2 movies are going to be on par with crazy that Endgame was. Like, straight up, those movies are going to be fucking insane. So all of that shit kind of makes everything null and void. You know what I mean? So,
well, then also we still don't know what's going on with Loki, because it's a different Loki that's still alive. So maybe that Mjolnir is still alive too. You know what that's
what I'm saying. Like something multiverse, something where that's how Mjolnir can come back, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jane Foster's going to die in that movie from the cancer, because every time she turns into Thor, it like undoes the chemo. So I think it's going to end up with her dying and kind of like a weird closure thing with Thor, maybe. But I think either in an after credit scene or at the end, like he gets picked back up by the Guardians, because he's not like done figuring his shit out. It's like he went with them to like figure out how to be him. You know what I mean? He's like, I need to figure out me. He has that whole thing with Valkyrie or whatever. He's like, I need to go find out what my purpose is. Like, you're going to be the ruler of Asgard. So I think whatever happens that like causes him to come back and like figure out what's going on with Jane and all this shit and it's kind of just like it would be like a closure to the full arc of the Thor movies, because obviously, like in Thor 3, like Jane Foster's just not there, which makes sense because it's done in space. So why the fuck would she be there anyway?
But
I think it's kind of just a closure.
Jane. Like I know he brings it up.
Yeah, and he brings it up in like Endgame, and he's like, "Oh, my past flame, like whatever." Like, and he brings up Infinity War, being like, "I lost my girlfriend, I lost, whatever, like his big depressing speech with Rocket." So I think it's kind of just like a big closure in that kind of realm. But I think he'll still go off with the Guardians, and Guardians 4 will include Thor. That's my guess.
He's the only one. He's the only one that said he's coming back.
From like the OGs,
like I mean,
Hawkeye's getting a series,
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in the movies, like he's the only actor that's like I'm still playing Thor. Obviously, Mark Ruffalo is still going to be the voice of Banner or whatever. But I think that's the other reason they did Professor Hulk is Ruffalo technically isn't needed anymore because they can just CGI Hulk.
Well, but he does all the mocap.
Well, true, but that's easy. He doesn't have to be in a full movie. So like, is that that's what I'm saying? Because they want to phase in the new Avengers or the young Avengers, whichever direction they're going to go, and then there's Secret Wars. Yeah, then there's Secret Wars.
Oh, don't. No, we gotta wait 10 years for. Yeah,
but my point is how does Thor factor in? Like, does he become an auxiliary to the Guardians? Because Batista's getting old. He can't do Drax forever. You know what I mean? Like Batista's almost. He's like 50, Yeah. Like, he looks good, but.
Yeah, and that's, I think James Gunn said that, like, Guardians 3, he doesn't have any ideas for anything else past the Guardians. So it might be either, like, a new Guardians team or, I don't know.
So I got to plug in my
laptop. It's okay. It's so hard to see where they're going with stuff, which is good in a way. I do think they will end up at Secret Wars, but that's another end game level movie. Like you need 10 years of building because the main characters are Doom and Mr. Fantastic. So it's like, and Doctor Strange is a big part of it too. But it's crazy to see. I mean, I'm glad we're getting something MCU this year. Sucks it's not a movie, but WandaVision is going to be fucking.
I think the other thing is we haven't heard a lot about Loki, and I really do think that's going to have a lot to do going forward with what's going on. I like Tom Hiddleston. Maybe. I think if we end up getting him as like the savior, like if we actually get a good Loki, I think that'd be cool.
Well, we were starting to get it, and they didn't sacrifice. He sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
But that's like the thing is like now we have Avengers Loki. He's still an evil piece of shit.
So that's a whole And then there's the whole like Red Skull is the fucking warden of the stone or whatever the fuck his stupid, president.
He's free now.
Yeah, that's the problem is he's free, and then they've already said that Baron Zemo is back in Winter Soldier and Falcon. Mm-hmm. So like there's the whole arc of what are they going to do with Hydra? Like are they going to do how because there's Shield, and then they're supposedly doing Sword, but Shield hasn't even technically been rebuilt in the movies yet. You know what I mean? So
because I don't think they're going to rebuild it. I think it's just Shield is becoming Sword. I think that's the next move. It's like there's no Shield. Shield is done. Sword is the Hydra thing. I don't think it's mainly going to be Hydra. I think this next whole phase is going to be a phase of teams, like from good and bad, because I think. This is obviously like a guess too, but I think Ross is going to form the Thunderbolts, which will include Zemo. Like who else? I don't fucking know who else they'll end up including. Maybe Abomination comes back. Like I think he's going to become Red Hulk. Like obviously they're setting up for new Avengers with everything that they've announced for Ant-Man.
From the movies?
Why
am I drawing a blank on that?
Okay, so he's like a big part of the Incredible Hulk, and then he's the guy who presents the Sokovia Accords to the Avengers in Civil War.
Oh, General Ross, right?
Yeah, General Ross, Thunderbolt Ross. Yeah. Okay. Thaddeus.
So does he become? Oh, so is he Red Hulk in the comics?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And they've kind of hinted at like he did something to himself because they mentioned like this heart attack thing in Civil War, and like that's when things changed for him. And obviously he's involved with Black Widow. the movie, and because I think like Black Widow and Falcon Winter Soldier were supposed to kind of like, I don't think the movies and show were going to tie in, but I think the after credit scenes were going to kind of lead into each other. So
Well,
since that's coming before Black Widow,
we've gotten so much stuff in the background about Hydra in the beginning. Now Hydra's gone, and then we've got we've got so many details spread out through all the movies about Shield and what happens with Shield. Yeah. But there's obviously other stuff in the background, like Natasha being trained. Like, who the fuck trained Hawkeye? Where the fuck did this motherfucker come? You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. Yeah. So, obviously, there's other, like, secret forces at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So and they even talked about, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, they talk about, so Ghost is a part of Thunderbolts in the comics, but they talk about her being, like, a secret assassin for S.H.I.E.L.D. So, I don't think they'll bring her back for the Thunderbolts because they kind of already were like, here's a nod to the comics that she was, like, an assassin for some group kind of thing. But, yeah, I feel like they'll explore some of the backstory in the Black Widow movie because it seems like it's going to happen between that gap between Civil War and Infinity War, but also shit in the past, stuff too, which might.
We have no idea where they're going to go.
Hawkeye stuff too.
We have no idea where they're going to go with the quantum realm stuff with Ant-Man too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that city. Well, a lot of people are the city you see in Ant-Man and the Wasp. A lot of people are thinking that's like Kang's like world he creates. So they think like him being in Ant-Man 3, that's kind of what that's going to lead to and stuff like that.
I just want them. I want the team that's doing Marvel now. Like, I know it's going to take a while. I know you're going to tell me to hold the fuck on, but like, I want them to do. Like, you know, we saw, okay, so we're getting the Eternals. We got introduced to Celestials already and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We got introduced to Ergo. Just give me Galactus. I want to see it done the right way. I want to see him try to eat the Earth. I want to fucking see it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
And
it's coming for sure. I want to see it too.
Silver Surfer is my favorite, like, Marvel dude.
Oh, I love Silver Surfer. There's been rumors of him being involved in Captain Marvel 2. Which would be
what I've heard is that's going to be because like they don't have a way to segue all the cosmic shit in, like, because you can only introduce so many people as a Doctor Strange thing. You know what I mean? Because there's still like, well, and that's like the mystic cosmic, the power shit. But when it comes to like empires and Kang the Conqueror and Galactus the Destroyer, you can only you can only introduce so many villains so many ways. You know?
Yeah.
Especially
I don't know how Galactus will come in. It's weird because it depends how they bring in the Fantastic Four, really.
Well, and then there's a whole giant fucking question mark with Adam Warlock too, coming after.
Oh, that's Guardians 3. That's definitely what that movie's about. I think Guardians 3 is going to be them messing with Adam Warlock and them trying to find, or like, well, Star-Lord trying to find a Gamora. I think that's going to be the big. Well, and Rocket's origin has been talked about a lot. Even James Gunn has talked about how Rocket's origin will come into play as well. So I think those are going to be the main themes.
Yeah, I feel like Rocket's origin is really going to start tying in with, like, I feel like the universe is going to go in like two directions. You know, it's going to be like the shit with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be there's going to be some other large threat.
Yeah,
and, The other large threat is going to have something to do with Rocket's backstory. And then like the cosmic threat is, you know, Strange and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, there's so much shit. Like, I just can't wait to see these movies. That's all.
Yeah, but anyways, back to the point. Season 3 is coming. I knew we were gonna do
filming next year.
I knew we were gonna start talking Marvel. So we're gonna have to wait a while for Season 3. So if you listen to this whole episode and you can decipher all of mine, Sean's nonsense, watch Season 1 and 2. Season 3.
I'll probably.
Great. I really hope I really hope we get some more soup on soup fighting. That's what I want, dude. Yeah. Like,
I'm guessing it'll come out the same time as this year. It'll come out next fall because they're starting filming early next year. So I'm guessing it'll just come out next fall, like how they have been.
Tight.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Also, you know Seth Rogen's a producer on the show?
Yes, dude. I've been noticing that. Like, I'm like, all right.
I love that he plays himself in the show too.
Oh god, that was so funny when that cameo happened. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah. Oh, you were talking about rewatching. I started reading the comics like a few months ago. So I read the first few books, and then it was right before season 2 was starting, so I binged all of season 1 again, and that's where I caught most of like them. It's basically most of the Easter eggs are literally just straight up. They took panels and put them on the screen, or they mentioning people, where it's like you would only know if you read the comics. Because, like I said, most of the stuff is very like a lot of the characters, other than like the 7, are very like they're in an issue or they get fucking killed like instantly. That's when like Stormfront was coming in. I was like, probably gonna die because Stormfront gets fucking pummeled by fucking Butcher. But like we said, I don't think Stormfront's dead, but came in and went away very quickly in a way.
Yeah.
She got fucked up.
That's tight. I respect that. So what are Eagle the Archer's powers, Sean? I have to know. Is he like Arrow, or he just doesn't miss with his bow and arrow, or what? Is he basically just Hawkeye with unbreakable skin, or what, dude?
The newer version, they didn't really say much. But I know the older version could literally fly, because that's how he ends up getting killed. Is he flies to like recon the area, and then he gets fucking caught in fucking an airplane propeller, and that's how he dies in the comics. The first one, the newer one, I don't remember how he dies. I think he gets killed by the boys because they all come after him. But I would be so pleased if they brought some of the newer versions of people, if they do end up creating payback for season 3, because there's Crimson Countess, who's literally Scarlet Witch.
I was gonna say
it's the same thing as Scarlet Witch.
Yeah,
literally Scarlet Witch. There's a guy called Swado, who is pretty much just a human fly. Like that's literally just a human fly. And there's been one of this after show I listened to, New Rockstars does it. They do a lot of the crazy trailer breakdown shit I send you. Or like movie breakdowns and stuff. They'll like point out all the Easter eggs in every movie or whatever. And so there's been a fly that like crawls on the camera lens that's been like reoccurring through season 1 and season 2. And that's their big theory, that's Swado, the character from the comics, that he's going to end up coming, and he's been like looking over the boys this whole time.
Oh my God.
Which I think would be really fucking hilarious. And there's all this other guy who's like Mind Droid, and he's like a weird android human mix thing.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done more with like, because they've brought up Lockheed and they brought up like the other companies. Like I'm like, where are these companies? Why aren't they going to build tech that can deal with the supes?
Yeah, I don't know. That's I just think they're almost like a Disney kind of like entity Vought is, so it's like no one can really fuck with them. You know what I mean? It's like no one has enough money or enough power to like fuck with them.
Like how does Frenchie, some fucking batshit crazy drug user, he can like combine chemicals and stuff, and he's defeated supes, you know? But then
he's
the
CIA, smart guy.
He can't. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, and then you've said they're probably bringing a Tech Knight, which is just a rich guy with expensive armor.
I just hope, only because the thing they show in the comics is that he'll see something that turns him on, and he just has to fuck it. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be an animal. It could be like a dude. It could be a girl. It could be a fucking plant. It's just like whenever it turns, like there's like a whole thing where he's talking to a therapist, and like that's what he's talking about. And it's just like, I just want to see that done, because I can see just like Seth Rogen's humor. And like obviously the whole vibe of the show, just making that fucking hilarious. Even if because he ends up fucking a dude in Payback, because they're like flying, and he like sees his ass or something, and he just like fucks him like midair, and then he gets like kicked out because like and then they go to the like Huey and Butcher end up like going into his lair, which is pretty much like the Bat Cave, because he's rich. And they end up like getting info out of him. It's fucking hilarious. I would just love if that fucking happened.
Oh my!
Because they've already fucking mentioned him, and it's like you can't mention him more than once.
Yeah.
And not bring him in. Like I feel like they were just like I almost feel like that Homelander scene at the end with him jerking off. Like they filmed it for season 1, but they were like, we can't put this in there yet. You know what I mean? They were like, we got to play it a little safe. And then obviously like season 1 came out.
So you break down a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like season 1 came out, and they're like, okay, this was a fucking hit. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Like, no holds bar. Like, go to fucking town. And they're like, yep, we're putting this scene at the end. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think that might be another thing with Tech Knight, like some dude who just like sees something and has to fuck it. So it's like Maybe they needed to wait another season to put that in, because like I wouldn't even care if it was like a short thing in the beginning of it, like how they do like those weird things at the beginning of some of the episodes where it's almost like its own thing, but it's obviously happening in the same world. Like that dude who ended up becoming racist and shooting the convenience store owner and shit like that because he saw it was like very much commentary on what people see, like someone watching Fox News and like getting pissed off and being like the fucking libs or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it was very reminiscent of shit like that.
Yes,
like,
I'm not a
even
fan,
if they did something like that. Yeah,
I'm not a fan of the R word, as you know, but I love when the crazy right-wing people use the term libtard, because I'm like, that just literally shows how shitty of a person you are. Like the fact that you're willing to use that word to describe somebody who doesn't believe the same thing as you. Like,
I mean, obviously they're super, they blame the virus on China too. And the reason it came here was from Europe, but it's okay. It's okay.
It was made in a Chinese lab, Sean. Come on, bro. Wake up, dude.
Oh, yeah, I know. Totally happened.
But, dude,
I'm sure they created it to totally fuck up their own economy and country. I'm sure they did.
Okay. Well, we've been ranting for a while now. So let's...
A little bit.
I have some questions for both of us. So...
You planned something?
Yeah. So out of everyone in the boys, who is your favorite character without powers, and who's your favorite suit?
Without powers, Huey for sure.
Okay.
I love Huey.
Mine's MM.
MM is great.
I just love him.
A good guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I know when we get more to his story, I'm gonna fucking love it even more. So like,
yeah,
all right,
he's awesome.
Who's your favorite suit?
It's like so shitty, but I think it's Homelander. Not that like I love him, but he's such a good character. Like they're like, there's like obviously I love pops. So I got like a fucking ton of them there. But I told Sam, I was like, I want the Homelander pop, and she's like, no, you're not getting. That dude is a piece of shit. Like you're not getting like a fucking thing like saying he's like whatever. And I'm like, I just like love him as a character because it's just so well done. He's probably the biggest villain like in TV movie history because he's just the most vile like villain ever.
You're right.
Because almost every villain is redeemed or made so you kind of get it. Like Thanos, you kind of got it. The way he went about it, not the right way, but you get it. Darth Vader, redeemed.
Dave.
Thanos was right. Prove me wrong.
Thanos was right. Prove me wrong. That's like his life motto these days, dude.
Yeah.
Especially
like
with
Darth Vader,
what's
redeemed. Kylo, redeemed. Homelander, probably not going to get fucking redeemed, and he's a fucking psychopath.
You know what? I'm sorry, Kylo was not redeemed, dude. I don't care.
What?
I don't care.
You're crazy.
I am not on the Adam Driver fanboy train. I'm sorry. I am not on the Rey and Kylo kissing train. That can get the fuck right out of that fucking movie. Like,
I'm gonna say one thing. All right, if you can say Vader's redeemed and you can't say Kylo is redeemed, then you're wrong because they did way more of Kylo being questioning the dark side and being super whatever than Vader ever did.
I'm not gonna say Kylo wasn't redeemed. I will say that them switching directors for the second movie, like, there's a lot more with the Knights of Ren that should have happened. I'm saying Kylo didn't get the story arc he deserved, and that's why I don't consider it a full redemption. We've had 6 movies to fully explain how Anakin was raised, failed, and then why the redemption pays off. I'm saying Kylo wasn't done justice. Kylo wasn't done. I'm not okay.
I will agree.
He was.
It was done just. It wasn't done justice.
Yeah, he did redeem himself.
Character development in the new movies were better than the old movies, and that's a fact.
That's okay. I can't argue with you with that there. But like, I hate how in the first movie it's like Knights of Ren, 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 and then at the end,
I wish there was so much more.
And then at the end, you see him just cut down 3 of them immediately to go to Palpatine, and like there's like it sucks because I actually enjoyed the second of the 3 new movies. I did.
Oh, I love that one. I love all of them. Honestly.
Yeah,
I love every Star Wars movie.
Yeah, like I enjoy it, but like fuck, man.
No, they definitely failed from not having an. I'll say this a million times over. They should have had an overall plan for the 3 movies.
Yes.
And they obviously did not, which sucks. And they could have been made better, but so could have any of the Star Wars trilogies could have been made better. I don't really like A New Hope is one of my least favorite Star Wars movies.
You wouldn't have episodes 4, 5, and 6 without episode 2, dude. I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
I mean, yes, but that movie is not good.
I'm trying to trigger you purpose right now.
I mean, you just can't argue that movie's good. Like we rewatched a bunch of the Star Wars movies before Rise of Skywalker came out, and we were watching episode 2, and she's like, "This movie is not good."
Some of the fight scenes are good. Some of the storytelling is good, but the movie is not good.
The end fight scene is cool, but all the CGI in the middle literally looks like it's the Clone Wars TV show.
No, you're right.
Not in a good way. She was like the whole part with like Geonosis or Camino,
yes,
and like Jango and fucking Obi-Wan fighting, and she's like, "Is this a cartoon?" And I'm like, "No, it's not." But no, I mean, obviously there's stuff that needed to happen in that movie to carry on. It's the same with like A New Hope. Like A New Hope started everything. It's revolutionary. Do I think it really holds up? Personally, no. But that's not everyone's opinion.
You're fitting me talking like that.
I just think Force Awakens is a better version of New Hope. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, on that note, we're going to get back to this talking about the boys now before Sean makes me any more fucking upset.
Sorry.
Okay, so, dude, as far as my favorite, so MM, I think, is my favorite of favorite non-suit. My favorite story, though, in the show from the non-humans is definitely Butcher. Like his character arc and the way they're slowly giving you like little bits of his backstory. Love it. And I love that. I love that he's so full of hatred that they want you to despise him, and he's technically the hero of this show. Like especially the scene with his dad when he almost beats up his own like 90-year-old dying of cancer dad on the balcony. You're like, I should hate him right now, and I feel for him. Like,
yeah, for sure. There was supposed to be like, it was supposed to be called like Billy the Butcher or something. And it was supposed to come out with season 2, but it was supposed to be like a 30-minute or 40-minute thing of like just him. I don't know what happened with that. They like announced it before season 2 came out, but nothing ever after that.
Well, you're at your computer. Why don't you Google it real quick?
I don't like. Well, it was weird because they like announced it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next set of questions about the boys. Which one of the 7, not including the deep because that's too easy of an answer, which one of all the not just the 7, all the heroes in general, has like which one do you feel like just dropped the ball? Like which one were you the most disappointed in, like their skill set versus like, because you got to keep in mind the show had already started for you. For me, I kept seeing the pictures and the memes and the ads and everything. So I'll go first on this one. Like Queen Maeve is so disappointing to me. Like she gets good character development later on in season 2, but like she's supposed to be strong and badass. She has to take the fucking elevator in that construction building with Homelander and all that stuff. Like, what's the point?
For me, I think I would say A-Train. Because he was like a junkie, and that's what caused him to like get a heart attack and like fuck up everything. And they kind of showed in season 2 how he can't really like run, but then later in season 2 you see him like obviously using his powers. So I don't know if he's like better or kind of still fucked up or whatever, but I don't know.
I did like how they had that nod when he's training, and they're like, well, you're still a human, so you still have to have X amount of protein an hour. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way that they threw that in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They've kind of they've done shit like that with the Flash, weirdly, where it's like how he can't like get drunk because he metabolizes shit so fast, but he also has to like eat to keep his energy up. But he has to eat like more than a normal person his size would eat, or he wouldn't be able to like do his shit.
I do love that.
But yeah, that Flash, a very good touch.
Cisco makes him that cocktail. and like you get drunk
Oh
buried.
yeah.
Like those 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
good.
I do remember that.
So good.
Yeah, you had to make him like the super booze.
Yeah. Okay. So yours was A Train. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he killed his fucking girlfriend. Like, oh,
Yeah,
dude.
he's a piece of shit, dude. 100%. I totally just lost my train of thought on what my next question was going to be about the boys. Okay. Who do you think has the coolest costume?
I mean, like how you're talking about Lamplighter, how it's like it's kind of like making fun of like superhero costumes, especially older superhero costumes. But that one is badass. But I think Black Noirs is really cool. I like that one a lot.
So yeah, mine is Lamplighter.
Simple.
And I cannot believe I'm going to say this right now, but I actually loved the Liberty costume.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to go to the cheesy old school, faces hidden without a mask, like
yeah,
is a symbol. Like I feel like the Liberty costume was way more America than the Homelander outfit is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
The American flag being the cape is like a show edition. It's not like that in the comics. I don't remember what it is, but it's definitely not like.
I figured in the comics she was more like a Stargirl ripoff, like with a staff or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, Liberty. I don't think is in the comics at all.
Oh.
That's like a show made thing. Yeah.
Oh, word. Okay.
That's because Stormfront was straight up fought for the Nazis in World War II, and then came over and ended up like being a hero for payback or whatever. Well, it was a dude. It's a guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was straight up a Nazi, just how like she is in the show, but then comes over and like after the war and becomes good and whatever. Yeah. I meant like Homelander's cape. Like, I don't think it's a flag. I don't think it's a flag. I think they did that for the show.
Stripes. It's just the stripes. Yeah.
Which is like hilarious how they did it in that one southern state where it's a Confederate flag. I was like, wow. I mean, that's obviously like commentary on shit now. They were like driving by. I think they were driving to North Carolina to go to that person's house.
A billboard, right?
Yeah, it's like a painting on the side of like a barn or some shit.
Yeah,
it's like Homelander, but the flag is a fucking Confederate flag instead of the American flag.
Yeah, I saw that. Yes, I did catch that. I was like,
oh, I did want to talk about like, okay, so the moment near the end when Stormfront, like another part why I love Homelander, when Stormfront's talking to Ryan about like white genocide.
Oh yeah,
she says white genocide, and Homelander's like, what? It's like,
like how I said he's ignorant, like he's stupid.
Well, no, he's like, what the fuck is she talking about? Like he questions her. You know what I mean? He's like,
oh yes,
he's obviously like a fucked up piece of shit.
Before that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's obviously like a fucked up piece of shit and racist because that's how they both get along. Because they're both like racist. Like he says racist shit, obviously. Yeah. But when she said that, even he's like the most diabolical, like fucked up dude in the world is like, what the fuck did you just say? You know what I mean? It's like
what?
Yeah. Like his reaction is like the best acting. Like he's like,
yeah. And I love that. Like, unless I'm forgetting that Edgar knew, but I feel like only Stormfront knew that it was actually Homelander that gives the terrorists the compound V. I don't even think Edgar knows.
Oh, I think Stormfront finds out, but Stitwell obviously knew because he told Stitwell at the end of season 1.
No, he told her. I'm pretty sure he told Stormfront too.
I think maybe,
but
I don't remember.
So that's the other kicker is like someone else definitely has that information out there. So what happens?
Edgar probably does know.
Yeah,
I would imagine. Because that was like the whole leaking of them knowing about Compound V. It's not like it directly tied, but it's like it's all created. You know what I mean? It's like you know, it was supposed to be like miracles born, and you know, like oh, I hope I get born with powers so I can grow up to be a superhero or whatever. You know, this like false hope of being a savior or whatever. And then they find out they're like, oh no, they're all created. Your parents got paid to fucking be have you be a fucking guinea pig and shit. Like obviously that's why Starlight is so fucking mad at her mom in season 2 and everything like that. But yeah, like it's kind of like the first part of that, I don't know if that'll end up tying back. Maybe, I don't know. I would feel like Edgar knows, or maybe he finds out. I don't know. Cause like who would be there to tell him unless Stitwell had like documentation on him, but like he told. he told her at like that party. So who knows?
The other thing that's weird is like the behind the scenes nonsense. So like A Train was stealing the V to get high off of it, right? And because it enhanced him. But how did he find out about it? They never explained that.
Oh no, because Homelander was using him as the transport for that shit.
Oh, so
he's how the V got around. Yeah. So that's how A Train knew about it, because he was the one transporting it everywhere. And I'm sure he was like, oh, hey, can I keep some of this as like payment or something? And maybe he said yes, but like he's like, hey, don't get hooked on that stuff or something, or who knows, or maybe he just stole it off the top. Who the fuck knows? Because it didn't seem like Homelander is like the very like, cross every T's, dot every I's kind of guy. He's more of just like, get the fucking job done or I'll fucking laser your eyes into your fucking skull kind of guy, like not very, he's not checking logistics. He's just like, did you get the job done? Cool. Thanks. You're not dead today. See ya.
Fuck yeah. You're right, dude.
That's just me like guessing on like what happened, but that's how A Train knew about the V, because
because there's even that line of like, where was A Train going? Why was he going so fast? And what's in that duffel bag he had? And then but they never like the boys never sit down and have that conversation of like, where did he get, like, we know where he got the V from, but why? What was he doing with it? They just assume he's a junkie, and then they like that issue gets like ignored. They're like, oh, the V exists. This is the issue. But there's like the whole other background conspiracy of like Homelander was having him smuggle the V to make the super terrorists or super villains or whatever.
I do think they find out in season 2, because they find out like that's how like Kimiko and her brother were formed and shit. It's because that shit. I don't know if they made the connection that was Homelander.
No,
maybe, but I think they at least figured it. They, like, oh, this is Vought or whatever. But who knows? That's an interesting idea to bring up that might tie into season 3 too.
Yeah, because there's the terrorist group that brought Kimiko's brother over, and they wanted, they're obviously pissed because Homelander torched, their village or whatever.
Yeah,
but like there must be more to that. There's definitely more pieces to the puzzle that haven't been put together yet. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're definitely building to more shit for sure. Yeah. Obviously, like with that huge twist at the end, there's no way that that they could just end it like that. It would be a very ominous ending.
Well, I guess they technically could. I'm also curious as if Ryan comes back. Does Homelander have a son in the comics? Is that part of?
No, because I think Becca's like dead in the comics.
Oh,
like isn't like dead and hidden somewhere. So I feel like that she might have had a kid, but it died. Maybe, if I remember correctly, but it's not like a full story thing like they've done here. I think he might come back, but like later. I don't know about season 3, but maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I guess.
Yeah. So is that why Billy hates Homelander? Is it the same reason?
Yeah. He's like part of why she dies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Word. Yeah. Word. Okay. Last question. This is the hard one.
All right. Okay.
Which member of the 7 do you hope dies first in season 3?
I don't know if any of them are going to die. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Because remember, they replaced A Train with but he got his head popped.
Yeah, Shockwave or whatever the fuck his name was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. Who do you hope dies? I really don't know. I don't think anyone's gonna die. So,
I wouldn't mind. I want to know more about Black Noir before he dies, but like the more I have to watch, it's the Deep.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But all right. Anyways, okay. This has been 2 hours, Sean. Thanks for joining me. I didn't just realize how long we've been fucking going on. Sean, thanks for joining me. Okay. Everybody, check out Metalcore Nerds. All the links will be in the video. You know who he is. Watch the fucking boys. Sean, I want to start doing more recap videos like this with you. Thanks for being on the show. Yeah. I appreciate you, my friend. Tell your lovely wife I said hello and give the puppy some love. Everybody, this has been another episode of At Joe Cupcake Unedited, talking the boys with Sean Mott. Sean Mott, what's your at sign?
Sean X Mott. Boom.
Boom. All right.
Okay, I gotta pee.
Bye. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Sean's been a great guest. I appreciate you all for watching. This is everywhere. Check out his brand. He has a bunch of merch. Drop me a sub on YouTube. Come sub to me on Twitch if you like video games. Check my shit out. Check out Pinup, all that stuff. All my links, they're going to be at the bottom. So is Sean's. Thanks, everybody. Peace.